Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here. It's nice to see you again for what is it? For our last session. It's nice to have you all here again for our last session. So, who is here? Let me see who is here. If you're here, please introduce yourself in the chat section. Let me know. Let me know. How have you, what has been your experience with the sessions so far? Have you enjoyed the sessions? Have you liked the sessions? Have you liked the trainers? Or the trainers have been very boring? So what has been your experience so far? Right? I really would like to see um, your comments, your feedback in the chat section. I will really appreciate your feedback, right? So I know I can see we have a few of us who are here from the number on my screen. If you're here, just introduce yourself again. I'm waiting to see the common faces that I've always been seeing in the sessions, right? So you can introduce yourself and then you can tell us your experience. All right, what has been your feedback with the session so far, seeing that this is the last session? We're having our last session today. You can also tell us if you feel like you need to have other sessions in the future. We are open to always partnering with Girl Lead for that. But meanwhile, just give us some feedback. Tell us what your experience has been so far. Have you enjoyed the sessions? What was your favorite session? Because we've looked at 8 sessions. Which one was your favorite session? Okay, it'll be really good to hear from you. Again, we have Judith again in the chat section. So you can see Judith. She's already saying hi to you. You can say hi back to her. If you're in Benin, please go out and look for Judith because she's in Benin. And then if you're in Kenya, feel free to look for me, right? Because I'm based in Kenya. So I'm a trainer with Impactor. My name is Very Lokwach. Judith is my colleague at Impactor. We're in the same department. And she will be the moderator for today's session. So you know how we do, right? If you're here, introduce yourself in the chat section, where you're joining us from, your business, your experience so far. Today we'll talk about our experiences. So I'm just echoing that a lot more so that I can get feedback from you. I don't think we'll have another session next week. We might work on a second cohort, but meanwhile, for the first cohort, this is the last topic. Just to give you a recap, I know in the last class, I gave a recap of all the sessions that we went through. So today I'll also just go over that briefly or rather quickly. So we looked at how do you build your brand on the online space? How do you sell online? How do you create your own digital marketing plan? What is digital marketing? What are the components that make up digital marketing, right? And we also looked at the different marketing tools that you can use, and then how do you get started with social media in itself, right? Then we also focused on setting up your own Google business profile. How do you get it verified? We looked at using data and insights to grow your business. So on data and insights, so how do you collect data from your Facebook backend, Facebook analytics, website analytics from your Google ads if you run search engine marketing, and basically determine what is working out for you and what is not working out for you. Then obviously forge forward with what you can do better, right? So after that, we focused on creating our own digital marketing strategy. Then we also looked at implementing Google Workspace across your business. What tools can you use to increase communication within your business? What tools can you use to increase collaboration within your business? And our focus for the last class today will be on staying productive online. All right. How do you stay productive online? So remember, COVID basically brought a transformation, or rather a shift on how people conduct their businesses. So we figured, you know what, not everything has to be done in person. Not everything has to be done face to face. All right. So we figured you can always still be productive, albeit working remotely, right? So how do you ensure that you're productive? How do you ensure if you have workers who don't come to the office, how do you ensure you still communicate to them, you're still working towards the same goal and you're still productive? And one of my favorite people, Titilope. Hi, nice to have you here again, right? So I have Titilope on the call, and more people are joining. So please feel free to introduce yourself. And I was saying today is our last class, and our focus on this class will be on staying productive online. So, being the last class, I would like to receive your feedback on your experience with the training so far. I mean, how was your reception of the training? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Which was your favorite session? Who was your favorite trainer? I mean, it's good for process improvement. So feel free to share your feedback in the chat section. All right. So we'll move on now. We'll get into agenda. And we've talked about this through and through ever since we started the class. And we've been prompting you and telling you, please apply for the Google Hustle Academy. Please apply for the Google Hustle Academy. All right. So the link to the Google Hustle Academy will be posted in the chat section by Google. Sorry, by Judith, not by Google. Okay. And we have, funny thing, we have the first Google Hustle Academy for the year starting next week. From Monday to Friday, we have the boot camp next week, and it's so intense. All right. We talk about how do you increase your revenue as a business? How do you pitch to investors? How do you come up with your own financial plan? If you're looking at budgeting, how do you do that? All right. How do you even get started with digital marketing, content creation? Which tools can you use for content creation? Which tools can you use for audience research or market research? All these things are covered in the Hustle Academy, and we have the first one next week. So please make sure, and it's usually a rolling boot camp. Okay, so it's not one off. So we'll have others in the coming months, in the coming weeks. Make sure you sign up, and then I pray that you be shortlisted. All right, all right. So agenda for the day today is three things. Remember, I said with this topic we're looking at how you can still ensure productivity while not having to go to the office. All right. So the first thing we're going to look at is setting up your remote office. Then how do you build a productive work environment? How do you build a productive work environment? And then at the end of the day, because you also have to look at your personal well-being. All right. How do you ensure that you're in the right state of mind, you're not stressed, right? How do you do that? Okay, because at the end of the day, if your mental state is not okay, is not balanced, there's absolutely no way you can be productive. All right. So before we get started, I would like to ask you a few questions. Hi, Scholastic. It's nice. Scholastic Kuthon. It's nice to have you on the call. All right. I'm guessing, Scholastic, that you are French speaking. So you can say hi to Judith. Judith is also French speaking. You can, just tell her bonjour, or I don't know. I know the basic French, so feel free to speak to Judith in French. All right. So my first question to you: how has COVID-19 impacted your role? 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 Thank you so much, Judith, for sharing the link. And Eunice just joined us from Liberia. Wow. Hi, Eunice. How are you? So please let us know, how has COVID-19 impacted your role? Scholastic, Eunice, and Titilope. Let me see your responses in the chat section. And if you're joining us, I can see some more and more people are joining us, but they're not introducing themselves. Please let yourself be known, let your presence be known. Okay? So, how has COVID-19 impacted your role? I mean, if you are employed, I know a lot of companies really downsized during that time. So did that impact your role? And if you're a business owner, if your sales decreased, if you had to shut down your business, tell me about it. Talk to me about it. How did COVID-19 impact your role, whether in employment or whether as a business owner? Hi, Sonia Patrick. Welcome. Welcome to the call. So, how did COVID-19 impact your role? Sonia, do you have an answer to this? Eunice, Scholastic, and Titilope. How did COVID-19 impact your role? Please feel free to drop your comments in the chat section. Remember, we are all here to learn from one another, so there's no right or wrong answer. I'm not marking it, it's not an exam. All right, your responses. We're all quiet. What does silence mean? What does silence mean? Okay. Sonia, do you have a response to the question on the screen? Or Eunice, do you have a response? Scholastic, Titilope, do you have a response to the question on the screen? So while I wait for your questions, I'll move on to the next part of our slides so that we don't dwell on one part, but be assured I will come back to look for those responses. All right. So remember, in the first agenda, we talked about being able to set up your own remote working office. All right. I can see a response before I even move on. I am a retired teacher of English. I started my business during COVID. Wow. You started your business during COVID. So did it pick up? How was it? Did it pick up? It made me realize the importance of digital meeting. Yes, Patrick. Yes, Sonia. Okay. Thank you so much for that. All right. So setting up your remote office. At the end of the day, we have to look at, remember, even in the previous sessions, when we were talking about digital marketing, creating your own plan, we still had to define, all right, because it gives us a base of all the other contents that we're going to look at. So in terms of remote working, what is remote working? All right. Some people will say it's working from home, okay? But it's not necessarily limited to working from home. It's just being able to work outside the traditional office environment. It could be in a cafe, it could be in co-working spaces, so long as you're not confined in the traditional office environment. We term that as remote working. All right, you can work from home. Personally, I work from home. Judith works from home. Sometimes when my electricity goes off and I don't have a generator and I still have to work, so I have to leave the house. I either go to work in a coffee shop or a co-working space or a library. All right. So I'm still technically working, right? So these are the different areas where you're able to work remotely, technically, because you're not going to the office. All right. So you can work from home, your coffee shop, a nearby coffee shop, co-working space. So there are organized buildings rather that offer co-working spaces. There are so many co-working spaces here in Kenya. All right. So you pay for like a day or you pay per hour, depending on how long you need the space. Okay. And then you can also always visit a library to work in a library. Okay. So when you're working remotely, what are some of the things that you think you might need? When you're working remotely, what are some of the things that you might need? Yoni says, I'm good, thank you. I was a high school student during the COVID-19 pandemic, and school had to close because of the COVID-19 situation, which affected your studies. I really understand that, because now, I mean, no systems were in place for learning online. All right. So I know it was a bit difficult to adjust. So you find that if you are supposed to finish your high school in 2019, it had to be, I mean, in 2020, it was pushed forward to around 2020. So I really understand that, Eunice. Okay. So, what are some of the things that you think you might need for working remotely? I mean, to work remotely, what are some of the devices that you might need? For example, what do you think you might need to work remotely? What do you think you might need to work remotely? Okay. So, what do you think you might need to work remotely? Maybe, Judith, you can drop one response to encourage the others to drop their responses because people are quiet. We need to be energetic. We need to have some energy. Okay? We need to have some energy. We need to have some, right? Some energy, some energy, some energy. Thank you. Hi, Mary Beth. It's nice to see you in the class again. Laptop, Sonia says a stable network, Wi-Fi, money. Wow, thank you so much. Judith, what is your response? Or you have no response? Judith, you're also a student. Okay. So I think you mentioned this. Obviously, you need devices. So you need a laptop. If you have a power bank, nowadays we have power banks that can charge your laptop and your phone, because obviously you need your phone. I can't just work and my colleagues can't reach me, right? So I need my laptop charger, my phone. I need the internet. I need to be close to a charging place, all right? I need to have power backup, and I need a dedicated work space. I need to have a place that's dedicated for my work, especially. So in the previous sessions, if you attend the previous sessions, and right now, you might have noticed that I'm always in the same place with the same background, because this is the place in my house. It's in the living room where I have secluded as my quote unquote home office. All right. So it's just a space I've dedicated with my table and my chair. Sorry, with my table and my chair to work from. All right. So we're looking at creating your own workspace. How do you create your own workspace? All right. So it needs to be very conducive to ensure productivity. All right. The first thing, you need to avoid either your bed or your couch. All right. Imagine me taking this training and I'm in bed. So I'm taking the training in bed. You can see my bed sheets. You can see my net if it's there. I mean, it's not even professional, right? Or take my meetings in a couch. It doesn't even look professional, all right? So I need to set up a table and a chair. So you need to invest in a good chair, because you're also looking at nowadays we have people developing back problems. So you need to get a good chair, an orthopedic chair, right? And a table, okay? And then make sure your space is comfortable, right? It's not squeezed. You can move around. Make sure it's comfortable. It's a place where there's not too much noise from outside. So maybe if in your living room you have a lot of noise, maybe you're living next to the road, so a lot of vehicles are passing, or a lot of motorbikes, so they distract you during team meetings. You can maybe decide to set up your working space in the bedroom, but make sure your background is very professional a bit, okay? And then consider your posture. This takes you back to the kind of chair and the kind of table that you set up for your workspace, okay? So the kind of equipment that you might need, and I mentioned this in the first part, you need your phone, obviously. Imagine me working and Judith is in Benin. Judith sending me a text. Maybe she needs my input on something urgently. She can't reach me. She tries to call me. She can't reach me. Do you understand? So you need to be always working from home. Does not mean you're in a or you're on vacation, right? You need to be always reachable to your colleagues, or if it's clients, you need to be reachable to your clients. All right. Imagine you're an online business. All right. So you're always on your phone doing community management on your Instagram or on your Facebook, but your customers can't reach you on phone. So what if they want something urgent and decided to call you, or they bought something from you, they need directions on how to use it and they can't reach you, right? So you need to have your phone, you need to be you need to access your computer, all right, and you need to have a notebook. And I'm not saying all these things, and it's not like I'm not practicing all these things. You can see I have my phone next to me, all right, and I have my notebook for taking notes, important notes and questions. So I'm not just saying things that I'm not practicing. All right. We cannot preach water and drink wine. Do you understand? So you also need to understand that, especially if you're using these electricity powered devices, that's the laptop. All right. You obviously need to have a source of power. So if when I'm seated here, my charging port, all right, it's near me, all right. So if I have maybe I'm taking the training and my laptop is going off, I can always just plug in, all right? Then, in case my lights go out, I have a generator. Assuming I don't have a generator, I should have a power backup, maybe a UPS or maybe a power bank. Like I said, nowadays we have power banks that can charge laptops, all right? If you're into clean energy, you might decide to get solar powered devices or inverters that you can use to, they can always kick in if your main power supply goes off, all right? So that's technically what you need to have a stable power supply. So assuming, I know Nigeria right now is experiencing a lot of power shortages. I understand that because I have so many colleagues in Nigeria, all right? But even with the power shortages, as much as I know it affects their productivity, all right? They have been able to take, maybe they have been able to take contingency measures. So you find most of them have generators. Sometimes, and there's shortage of fuel, all right? So you find that they also have power banks, all right? So it doesn't stop them from being productive. Even if it will affect their productivity a bit, it's not entirely, it's not like now from morning to evening they will not work because they don't have lights, all right? I know they don't have lights and there's no fuel for a generator, but I'm using my power bank. It might go off sometime soon, all right? But they're still taking the initiative to ensure productivity. So you need to do that. All right. And then depending on, right now we have so many internet service providers. Okay. So you need to figure out which service provider works for you. Obviously, you're looking at the cost, but as much as you're looking at the cost, you're looking also at the bandwidth they're providing, and you're looking at how sustainable it is and how fast it is, right? If you're using a lot of apps, assuming you're a designer or an engineer, you're using heavy apps, right? It will be very important to have a heavy internet supply provider. Okay, so it's important to identify the correct ISP, that's your internet service provider, and have an alternative. For example, I'm using my Wi-Fi right now. Okay, it's for a provider called Safaricom. Okay, so I'm using my Wi-Fi right now. When my electricity goes off, my Wi-Fi will go off because it's plugged in to the electricity. Okay, but I have my phone and I have subscribed to monthly data on my phone. Okay. So if my lights go out, my Wi Fi goes out, I have data on my phone. I can always hotspot and continue even with the training. Do you understand? And you also need to get a right router. So it's not like you're getting a router that if you have your router in the, maybe your router is placed in the sitting room and your designated work office is in the bedroom. It cannot, sometimes you find that, oh, I don't have internet in my bedroom. The internet is not getting to my bedroom. You need to get a good router, okay, and a good internet service provider, plug into your Wi Fi, and then test and compare internet speeds for uploads and downloads, depending on your work capacity. All right. So remember, when you're choosing your internet service provider, you're not just choosing because you know it's there. There are a lot of things that you're looking at. Okay. So basically, I've given you an overview of the sign of some of the things you're looking at. And then if you're looking at the challenges of working remotely, the first thing is loneliness. I spend all my days in the house Monday to Friday. I literally do not talk to anyone. So there's that form of loneliness because you're not interacting. All right. There's no in person interaction. Of course, I have meetings. Sometimes I have social calls with my colleagues, but there's no that in person touch. You understand? So you might end up being lonely or not have a social life. And then it needs self discipline. I understand that I have a lot of work. No one will call me or look at, oh, Beryl has not arrived in the office yet. I can't see Beryl. Why is Beryl late? Why did she get into late? No, I know I'm supposed to be up by this time. I'm supposed to work this time. This is my to-do list for the day. It should be completed by the day, by the end of the day. No one is following up on with me on that. So it needs a lot of self-discipline, and there are no employee benefits. If people are going to the office are being offered lunch in the office, no one is offering me lunch at home. Okay. If people are being given transport allowance, no, I'm not getting transport allowance. Okay. I'm just confined in my house. Right. And it's hard to switch off. It's very hard to switch off when you're working because you should always be available because no one will walk to your desk and tell you, oh, Beryl, I need this and this. They're always sending emails, they're always sending chats, they're always calling. So I should be alert at all times. And then there's always the fear of missing out. Last year, they say your organization had an end year party, people met, you're just receiving photos of their meetup on WhatsApp. So there's always FOMO. You have a lot of FOMO. Okay. And if you're going to look at benefits, obviously there's flexibility. I don't have to, if I have to give 8 hours in a day, it's not limited from 8 to 5. Okay. It could be 12 to 6 p.m. 12 to 8 p.m. No, it could be 12 to 8 p.m. That's 8 hours. Yes, 12 to 8 p.m. All right. So I'm flexible in my hours so long as I deliver what I mean. That takes us back to self discipline. Because even if I log in at 12, it does not mean at 5 I click and go out because it's 5 is the end of the day. No. Okay. And then there's no commuting. I'm not dealing with traffic jam. I'm not dealing with noise pollution. I get to spend time with my family. So, for example, assuming you're living in a place far away, you have to wake up in the morning, you have to be in the office by 7 or 8. Okay. So, you leave the house by like 6. If you have a small child, obviously the child is still sleeping. You leave the office again at around 6 p.m. or 6:30. You get at home at 7 or 8. Your child has slept. They have not seen you. They only see you over the weekend. So, you see, there's that disconnect. With working from home, as much as they know my kids, oh, don't come to mama, mama is working right now, I can still take a break because I'm not like sitting here morning to evening without standing. So with my 10 minute break, I can interact with them. So I get to spend time with family and there's less distraction. Okay. No one will come and tell me half of my Monday morning to talk to me about their weekend and tell me, oh, Banner Boy came to this concert. Oh, I don't know, which kid came to this concert. We went to see Thames. No one will tell me all those stories half of my Monday morning. Okay. So there's less distraction and obviously there's high morale. Right. Then for companies, so those are the benefits to individuals. For companies, obviously there's reduced overhead costs. Okay, so obviously there's reduced rate on the kind of if it's the electric bill, the water bill, so some overhead costs reduce, right? And then greater productivity. So let's go back to high morale. You have individuals with high morale, right? You have individuals who are flexible, so they're not getting fatigued easily, obviously to increase their productivity. Then you have access to a wider pool of talent. This even is just an example of impactor. We have people in Mozambique, in Benin, in Cameroon, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Kenya. Okay. So they don't just have to hire people in Nigeria when people, I mean, you can get people from outside, I mean, different areas who can deliver to you. Okay, so you have access to a wider pool of talent and you have improved employee retention, high morale, greater productivity, your colleagues not, I mean, your employees not being fatigued. All right, obviously, they get satisfied with their job, they are happy with their job, and it improves your employee retention. Do you have any question up to that point? Let me see who just joined us that I've missed. Wow, Scholastic says a good telephone. Correct, with internet, you're right. And then electricity, why must it be dedicated? Okay, so it needs to be dedicated because assuming I'm taking a meeting, okay, it's a very serious meeting. So do you want me to wake up and I can't wake up and take the meeting from my bed because that day I feel from working I don't feel like leaving the bedroom. Okay. And then the meeting, I have to turn on my video. Okay. It's a video conferencing. I have to turn on my video. And then I'm in bed. They can see my headboard. All right. It doesn't make sense. All right. You always need to be, it even helps in your productivity. Do you understand? Or assuming me lying on the couch. Okay. So I'm seated on the couch. I'm lying like this and I'm taking the meeting. I mean, does that, it's not even professional. You get, yeah. Badma says that's my Nigeria for you, ma. Yes, I've been hearing a lot of, especially this time. I know you're having your elections right now. I'm kind of following. So I know there's a lot of issues that you're experiencing at the moment, and I'm really sorry for that. I'm really sorry. And Francis Rita joined us, Vilta, Vlita, Zephania. I haven't been receiving my certificates. Have you been filling in the attendance form? Vlita, because if you have been filling the attendance form, you should be getting your certificates. Have you been filling in the attendance form that's always being shared? Okay, so if you know you have been filling the attendance form, we send the certificates in phases, so you should be able to receive your certificate. So that's why we keep on insisting during the end, towards the end of the class, to remember to fill in the attendance form. It's the only way you will get your certificate. Okay, so do I have any question? If there are no questions, you can also indicate, Beryl, I do not have any questions. We can move on to the next part of the session. Do I have any question up to that point? While we are waiting for questions, you can hit the like button to like the session. This is the last session, like I mentioned. You can hit the thumbs up button to like the session. You can subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon, get notifications of other future sessions. All right? No questions? Does silence mean you're all content with where we are right now? Any question? No question? Okay. So while we wait for the question, I will come back, assured, rest assured, to look at the question. We'll move on to the second part of the class, which is we're going to look at how do you build a productive work environment. All right. Why is your work environment important? All right. The quality of your workspace is vital to your productivity. And I think I just mentioned this when I was responding to Mary Beth's question, why a designated area? Okay, I actually just responded to this. So, how do you ensure you have a quality workspace? First of all, a designated work area. All right, then find the right chair for you. You don't want to experience back problems, so you get the right chair, an office chair, an orthopedic chair if you can afford it, and then get a filing system to organize your life. If you're dealing with a lot of receipts, incoming receipts, outgoing LPOs, you need to have different files for that. And sometimes if you don't have the physical files, all right? So assuming, and in the last class, we talked about the Google Workspace, which tools can you use to store information, okay? So you can create different folders in your drive and organize your life with a good filing system. So Judith wants something, maybe an invoice. I always know where to get it and send it to her. Okay. Mary Beth wants a standard of procedure plan for the operations department. I know where I can get to the SOP from my files. Okay. We need to register our business. I know where the company documents are. Okay. So it's important to have a good filing system. Okay. Then if you're looking at data, 40%, there's always a 40% decrease in productivity due to workplace distractions and 20% and 27% increase in errors. So you can imagine me going to the office on a Monday and I have a lot of tasks I'm supposed to complete by that day. All right. And then Judith comes to my desk and she's telling me, oh, Beryl, I'm tired. I don't like Monday mornings. She's giving me stories. I'm trying to work. At the end of the day, there will definitely be an error that I will commit because I'm not focused. Okay. So there's a increased errors, 27% increase in errors and a decrease in productivity due to workplace distractions. All right. How do you ensure that you can minimize this distraction? How do you ensure that you can minimize this distraction? First thing, especially when you're working, sorry, something just got into my eye and I can't see my screen very well. Sorry about that. Much better. So, how do you ensure that you can minimize distractions, especially if you're working online? Okay, the first thing, you need to let others know your working hours. I can tell you for sure, my friends know. When you call me you call me in the evening. Just call me in the evening. I'll pick your call. During the day, just drop me a message because I normally have very hectic days. Okay, unless it is an emergency, kindly drop a message. So you need to let others know your work hours to avoid distractions. If you have that kind of friend where you pick the call and you talk for like 2 hours, so you're in the call on the call for 2 hours when you're supposed to be working, right? Obviously, it reduces your productivity. Then you need to do one thing at a time. So every day for myself, I have a to do list. I know This is what I'm supposed to do today. Number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. These are the things I'm supposed to do today. All right. So I do one thing, I tick. All right. So you need to have a to do list. Do one thing at a time. Avoid TV and household distractions. Okay. You can't be working and you have Netflix. Will you concentrate on your work or on Netflix? Okay. Or you have a nice jam playing on TV or on your radio and you're working. Are you going to dance or are you going to work? Right? And then imagine having a meeting and then you have dogs barking around. Or if you have a parrot, I'm here talking and the parrot is repeating what I'm saying. Okay. So that's on your pets. And then you need to take regular breaks. You are not a robot. You cannot be seated, even when you go to the office, you cannot sit in your chair from morning to evening without taking a break. You need to give your mind a break, come back. Okay. So you can set an alarm. I can decide maybe I'm seated from 10 to maybe I start my work at 9. So I know from 9 to 10, this is what I'm going to do. 10 to 11, this is what I'm going to do. 11 to 11:30, I'll just take a break, maybe go to my balcony, get some sunshine, drink some water, walk around, then come back 11:30, work again till 1, break for lunch. Okay? Then after lunch, come back again. So you need to take regular breaks. All right? That is as an individual. And then as a team, and then as a team and then as a team, I'm coming back to the comment section. Okay. And then as a team, how do you improve productivity within teams? How do you improve productivity within teams? Let me see first before I continue. Titi Lope, I don't have a question. Thank you so much. Zephania, I feel some when I rewatch after the session, but I don't get still. So when you feel after the session, it means it's if you I mean it's very important that you feel during the session. That's what the emphasis is. You have to fill the form when we are taking the session. Okay. Later, like today, ensure that you fill in the form. Judith will share it towards the end of the class. Please make sure you fill the form during the session. Okay. Thanks for this course, although I need a remote work presently. You will. I mean, working remotely, it's nice. This is probably my second job where I'm getting to work remotely, and it's very interesting. I've gotten the hang of it. I'm still productive. Then Marybeth says, how do you handle calls and children? All right. So if it's handling calls, when I'm taking meetings, my phone is usually on do not disturb. Okay. So I will not, it will ring fine, but there will be no sound because I'm in a meeting. After the meeting, I look at who called. If it's urgent, I can call back. If it's not urgent, I can tell them, please text me or I will call back in the evening. Do you understand? And then if it's children and you have someone in the house, you have someone else in the house with you can always tell them, please, I'm supposed to be working from this time to this time. Please ensure that you're keeping the children busy, all right, so that I'm not distracted. And then I will take a break at this time and interact with the children because we know children love attention. Okay, so I'll take a break at this time, interact with the children, but you need to communicate either with your partner or whoever you're staying with in the house to take responsibility of the children when you are working. Okay, so it's just communication and planning and sharing duties. Okay, so because I mean if you have someone else in the house, maybe your partner in the house, they honestly cannot expect that you're working and you're carrying the baby and you have a meeting. You understand? So you need to communicate for health. All right. And then also when people know you work from home, they tend to give you so much work to do. You have to be able to say no. Okay, I know that happens. I honestly know that happens and I understand. So you need to tell them. Someone tells you, I need you to do this and this and this and this. You just tell them, I have a lot of tasks on my table with deadlines. Please, is this urgent? How urgent is it? Normally, for me, if someone gives me an extra task, the first thing I will ask, how urgent is it? What is the deadline for that task? All right. Because if they give me a task now and maybe the deadline is next week, all right, I can figure out maybe this is what I have to do this week. Then maybe next week I'll get some time. Okay. But the first thing I normally ask is, when is the deadline for this task? All right. That's the first thing. How urgent is it? So that I know if I can take it or not. If the deadline is not urgent, I can always see a way to plan myself, and then I can say, yes, I'll take it, but I'll not be able to get back to you this week, maybe next week. Do you understand? So you need to communicate. If you have a lot on your table, you say, I'm not able to do this today. I'm sorry. I can't take it up right now. Please find someone else to do it. The only time I should be able to help you is maybe next week. Can it wait until next week? All right. So it's just you communicating. And then another question, please, how do you manage all this? And how many remote work should someone take at a time? It depends. There's some remote work, maybe you're supposed to give like 4 hours in a day or like 5 hours in a day. Technically, I'm supposed to give 8 hours in a day. So I can't manage to take up another remote work. All right. I will not be able to be productive. One will suffer. And you don't want one to suffer, because if one suffers, it means your reputation suffers. Okay, because you've taken up to two things and you cannot deliver. So in one area you'll be known, oh, Beryl is very productive, and this other person will say Beryl does not do anything. Okay, so if you have a remote work giving 4 hours, maybe you're supposed to give 4 hours in a day, you can always take up another one for the other remaining hours. But if you have a full-time remote job, I'm sorry, and you want to be productive, there's no way you can juggle between the two. All right. And then what if you're working from home because you're the only one staying with the kids? No, it's fine. I understand. What if you're working from home because you're the only one staying with the kids? So, how old are the kids? That's also a good question. How old are the kids? Are they old enough to comprehend that mom is working right now? She will come to us when she needs a break. There's actually a video I saw on LinkedIn of one of the ladies working from home, and she has small kids, like around 4 years thereof, 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, for 3 years, they had not started school yet. Okay, but 3 years they were able to comprehend instructions. So this lady was giving, she was actually videotaping, she was video recording herself working from home. One of the children needed some snacks from the kitchen, and this lady was having a meeting. So this kid came, her child came to her and dropped her. I think it was around 4 years. The baby was around 4 years, and dropped her a message like in writing, snacks. Like the child just wrote snacks and brought the paper. So this child knows I can't come to throw a tantrum when mom is in session, but they brought a note, okay? And they gave to the mom snacks. So the mom knows the child wants some snacks. So that's on communication. If it's an infant or a toddler, I know infants and toddlers, they have some form of routine. They have some form of routine. So you would be able to know that my toddler sleeps most of afternoon, or my toddler wakes up at 6, then is usually up by around 10. Okay. Then 10, they sleep up to 12, then they eat. I know toddlers normally have routines. So you have to figure out within that routine. If you're the only person working, I mean, if you're the only person taking after the toddler, all right, there's no one else, and you can't afford to, if you can't afford to hire someone, maybe a nanny, okay, you can always look at the routine of your toddler and see how you can fit yourself into it. If they sleep in the afternoon, this is my time to work, okay? So maybe I give less hours. Maybe in the afternoon, they sleep. Maybe I can only work for like 3 to 4 hours, but I need to give 8 hours in a day. Personally, you would need to go to the extra mile. If they sleep at night, you would have to give your extra mile at that time. Do you understand? So it's all a matter of understanding their routine and their schedule and working out how you can fit into it. Do you understand? I hope that's okay with you. All right. So we'll move on. You can always feel free to drop more comments and questions in the chat section. I'm happy to answer to all of them. Don't feel limited or don't feel like it's too much. No, it's not too much. Okay. So when you're looking at improving productivity within teams, remember you have people working in different areas, all right? I mean, in different regions. They're not in the same country. the first thing you need to understand is you need to communicate their vision and deliverables. So vision for the department, the training department, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to train, get into the training room 30 minutes before session. This is what is expected. This is where we are going. All right. And then Beryl, you're tasked with this, with training. Judith, you're tasked with moderation. So everyone understands their role. Their role is written in black and white. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. So when I come to Judith and tell Judith, Judith, why did you not do this? She cannot tell me, I didn't know I was supposed to do it. No, here are your responsibilities lined out. You're supposed to do it. Why didn't you do it? Do you understand? Then you need to understand the logistics for team communication. So everyone is working remotely. Most organizations, for example, for Impactor, they will pay for your data, my Wi-Fi and my credit, because I need to communicate to the team members. All right. So you need to see they're working remotely. So besides their salary, can I, as an employer, can I pay for their internet? All right. So that someone does not tell me, I didn't have internet, so I couldn't work. No, we pay for your internet. Sometimes, if you're looking at cost cutting as an organization, you can decide, I'll pay for half of your internet, you pay for the other half. All right. So I have helped you in taking up the internet burden. I need you to be productive. Do you understand? Then you also need to promote project management. Also, the different tools. If you're looking at, there are different tools for project management to track how projects are going. So there's Trello, there's Mural, there's Asana, there's Basecamp, and also Workspace. I said in the last class, Workspace is also a project management tool. I'm able to see what Beryl is doing. I asked her to create a deck. I'm able to see everything Beryl is doing. She's filling in her tracker on maybe on Google Sheets. I'm able to know whether she's done those tasks or not. Okay, so I'm able to track the quality and status of projects. It helps to promote visibility and transparency. And then you're able to identify and address bottlenecks. All right, so you're able to know these are the challenges my team members are going through. All right, like right now, like I mentioned, I know some of the members or some of my colleagues are experiencing network issues, electricity issues. So what can we do better? All right, can you give like 5 hours in a day as you try to sort out your generator issue? All right, or if your generator, your fuel runs out and you're working, just communicate. Don't keep quiet. So I'm looking for you in the afternoon, can't find you. Then later on, and it was something urgent, you tell me, oh, my generator went off. Text me and tell me in advance. It helps to mitigate a lot of arising issues. Do you understand? So we talked about workplace distractions previously. Now we say that 70% of workplace mistakes are due to poor communication. And I've given you an example right now. Judith not delivering her task and telling me she didn't know. When you communicate the deliverables, each person should be able to understand. All right. And then on communication, my lights go out, so I have to move to a coffee shop. And maybe by the time I get to the coffee shop or the co-working space, maybe there was a meeting that's supposed to happen. So I can tell Mary Beth, or I can tell Titilope, please, my lights have gone out and I have to move to a coffee shop. But by the time I get there, the meeting will have started. Can you step in for me? All right. Can you take the meeting on my behalf? So can you imagine, that's better than missing the meeting? And it could be a very critical partner. So it's better than missing the meeting altogether. Do you understand? So avoid mistakes by communication. If you're looking at communicating, there's Slack. All right. Some people say, oh, WhatsApp is very private. I don't like talking to my work colleagues via WhatsApp. There are other tools that you can use. You can use Hangouts, Google Hangouts. You can use Slack. With Slack, you can even make calls. All right. Slack, you can create groups like in WhatsApp groups. Slack, you can even call. Okay, so you just go to Google Play Store and download Slack. So you can say as an organization, our official communication tool for maybe informal or text that require instant feedback is Slack. Okay, and then there's HubSpot. If you're looking at official email communication, Gmail is the way to go. Do you understand? Then you need to set up rules for communication. All right, I've said this. If you know you're experiencing an issue, talk about it in advance. All right, it helps to mitigate a lot of issues. All right, then how do you I mean, I would not talk to my colleagues or my bosses the same way I talk to my friends. All right. So I need to look at the kind of language I am using, the type of message, and the context. I cannot be shortening words on emails. All right. I cannot afford to have a typo on my emails. All right. Someone sends you an email. If it's an official email, I can tell my team the turnaround time for email response in 2 hours. All right. Because I expect you to be working throughout the day. All right, you should be productive in your work hours. So if a partner sends you an email in the morning, I don't understand why you would respond to that email the next day. No. All right, unless you had to consult on something that made you delay the communication. But if there's no reason for you to delay, I expect that in 2 hours time you should have responded. All right, then set and role model the guidelines. You cannot tell people to have a turnaround time for emails, respond instantly to direct messages when I'm not doing that. So you need to set rules and lead by example, and then you can decide. So as an organization, we will be having all formal meetings will be on Zoom, or if you have a Zoom account, right? Remember with Zoom, you can have the free version, or you can go to the premium version, which has additional features. All right. So there's Zoom, there's Microsoft Teams, there's Skype. Now we have WhatsApp call. You can do video calls on WhatsApp. And the best thing that WhatsApp introduced was you can create a call link. The same way you have a Google Meet link, you can create a call link. All right. So these are the tools that you can say maybe Google Meet or Zoom are the official uh, meeting platforms. Okay. Then I've talked about, I think, and we even mentioned this in the last class. Google Meet, of course, it helps with, you can do your presentations on Google Meet. You can turn your camera on, all right? And then there's Zoom. With Zoom, you can record, all right? So if, assuming you are having this training on Zoom, I could still record it, all right? You can share your screen. You can turn your video on, all right? And the free version of Zoom, you don't even have to pay for it. The free version helps you to record meetings or hold meetings up to the 40th minute, all right? And then 100 people can join at a time. Do you understand? So there's that. If you're looking at the previous premium features, obviously you're able to have a meeting with more than 100 people, and you can go over and above the 40 minutes. All right. Microsoft Teams and Skype obviously technically have the same features. You're able to do video conferencing as well. And actually, Skype was the first tool I ever interacted with for video conferencing. Skype was the first tool. Zoom, all this Zoom, people came to know, of course, they were in existence, but people came to know so much about them during COVID. Initially, it was just Skype, Skype, Skype. And when you're looking at setting meetings, don't set meetings blindly. You can't just wake up and decide, let's have a meeting. All right. Okay. So you get into the meeting and people are wondering, okay, why are we having this meeting? You'll end up having meetings for like 2 hours. Why do you need to have meetings for 2 hours? So you need to set an agenda before the meeting. This is what will be discussed in the meeting. Share the agenda with the people who will be in that meeting. All right. Share the agenda with them beforehand. So if they have any points, they already come ready. All right. You might find that if you went to the meeting blindly, it might take you even 2 hours. But with agenda set and people already in loop, you might find that even in 40 minutes or 30 minutes, you're done with the meeting and you can do other productive things. Okay. Encourage use of cameras. It's important to look at non-verbal cues. It's important to uh, see what people are putting emphasis on when they're talking, and then be timely. If a meeting is supposed to start at 8, be there by 7:50. Okay. Look at whether your camera is fine. Look at whether test your internet. All right. If you're the presenter, test your slides. So you need to be timely. All right. Then you need to prepare yourself. You can't come to a meeting, you're the one presenting, you are not even prepared, right? Or you're not dressed appropriately. You come to a meeting with vests. Does not make sense. Then obviously your lighting. If you can get a ring light, the better for you. Okay, get a ring light. Then consider your background. I've talked about this so much when we started. And then your audio. Can they hear me? I hope it's not static. Do you understand? So when you're looking at collaborating effectively with your team members, obviously you need to equip them with the right tools. You're paying for their internet. If you're able to provide for their laptops, why not? Okay. If you're able to give them office phones, why not? Do you understand? So you need to equip your team with the right tools, make project management easier. We've talked about the different project management tools that you can use. We said there's Mural, there's Asana, there's Trello, there's Google Workspace. Make document sharing easy and accessible. You can store your documents on Drive and give access to documents or folders to people who, you know, are interested in those documents. You can encourage collaboration within departments. Remember, we said with collaboration, you can use Google Sheets, you can use Google Slides, you can use Google Docs, all right? And then prioritize company culture. What are we working towards, all right? How are we supposed to relate with our colleagues, all right? Then it's important when you talked about communication, we said 70% of mistakes are due to communication. It is better to over communicate than to under communicate, right? Be disciplined. If you know you're supposed to give 8 hours, give 8 hours. Whether you're flexible with your time or not, give 8 hours. Have your tools always ready for work. I cannot just come here to take a training, all right? And then my charger, I don't know where my charger is. So what if my laptop goes off when I'm taking the training? So you need to have your tools ready and then find your booster and use it. What motivates me, all right? Do I need to take regular breaks? Then that when I come back, I'm able to concentrate on my tasks. What motivates me? Then use that motivation. Do you understand? So that is the second part. Do I have any questions so far? Any question? Thank you so much. It's very helpful. I'm really happy that you find the session helpful. Thank you. And it's Zoe Bankole Bright from Ghana. Welcome. I haven't been receiving my certificate. Azolukwam, have you been filling in the attendance form? I think that is the first question I will ask when you say you haven't been receiving the certificates. Have you been filling in the attendance form? Because from the attendance form is where you get your certificate. All right. So any questions so far before we move on to the last part of the class? Remember, you can always tell us your feedback. How have you found the previous sessions? Which has been your favorite session? You can always talk about that in the chat section, okay? Please, can you advise us on how to charge prices for remote work? So it's dependent on your output. Okay, what are your deliverables? Okay, so when someone says, I need someone for remote work, this is the remote work. So you first look at the tasks. All right, you want someone for remote work. What do you need done? So they say, I need this and this and this and this and this and this and this done. Okay, then you tell them, this remote work, do you need someone to work for full hours, 8 hours in a day, or you need like part time, 4 hours in a day? So you can charge per hour or you can charge per deliverable. All right. So that's upon you. You can look at the task that you're supposed to do. You can charge either per the hour or per deliverable. All right. So that's normally how people charge. So you need to create, when you decide to charge per hour or per deliverable, if it's not a full-time employment, if it's a full-time employment, obviously you will negotiate on the salary. That is a monthly salary, all right? But if it's not like full-time employment, it's contractual. So you're looking at charging per hour or per deliverable, okay? So that's upon you really to figure out. So you create your rate card. Okay, so you have to create a rate card and share your rate card with them. All right. Then sometimes I feel I filled for 3 because I just saw 3 links on my email. Ah, that's very sad. Okay, so from the, everyone was receiving the links in their email from Girl Lead. Just wondering why you have received 3. Then Tego Bada. So, like I said, as much as we are ending the session right now, it does not mean that all the certificates from the previous sessions have already been sent. So we are sending per phase. Okay. So you might find that you received certificates for maybe the first, second, and third session. So long as you fill the attendance form, we will be sending the certificates. Okay. It doesn't mean that we've ended the session today. It's the end, all the certificates have been sent. No, no, that's not how it works. All right. Also, who pays for subscriptions, e.g. Canva for the tools? Is it me or the employer? So assuming you're looking at someone gives you a remote work, all right? Maybe they need you, you're a designer, okay? So you ask them, okay? Those are questions that you're supposed to ask them. So am I using your Canva? All right. If you're using their Canva, they have an account, the premium Canva, then obviously it will help you determine the cost that you're going to give them. But if you're using your Canva, all right, and you have to use the premium feature, you can always tell them, since I'm considering the monthly cost for this and this and this and this, these are the factors that I'm considering for this amount that I've given you. All right. So you can include the cost for that in your ask. Do you understand? So the first thing you need, obviously, to understand, you need me to do this. Do you have a Canva account? Okay. Do you have an Illustrator? Do you have this and this? All right. They tell you, no, we don't have it, as we just want the work done. Okay. So taking into consideration that I will be using my own cover that I am paying for per month, and there's obviously the service fee. This is what I'm going to charge you. All right. So those are questions that you have to ask. All right. And then Titi Lope has received one Rita attendance form. So the attendance form will be shared shortly. I will come back to look at the next part. Mary Beth has kept me busy with the questions. I actually love it. I love it, Mary Beth. You can drop more and more questions, right? And I hope we are all learning. So Judith, please drop the attendance form in the chat section. Make sure everyone who's here, please make sure you fill in the attendance form. Please make sure you fill in the attendance form. So we'll move on to the last part of the class. I'll try and go over it very quickly, but not so quickly. So managing and maintaining your well-being. Like I said, if you're not in the correct mental state, you cannot be productive. So why is it important to manage your mental well-being? Why is it important? First, it impacts your overall health. You might hear sometimes you maybe someone went to the hospital and they are unwell. Then everything is tested. There's nothing wrong with them. Everything is tested. There's nothing wrong with them. So you find that they're so stressed that it even impacts their health, their physical health. Okay. So that's one of the impacts. And then if your mental well-being is good, obviously you have greater productivity, right? You're able to, you're resilient. And then it helps to also boost your morale and your levels of happiness. That's why it's important to manage your mental well-being, all right? And then when you're looking at what do I do to ensure that it's fine, I'm working from home, I have a lot of tasks, but how do I ensure that my mental well-being is not compromised? All right. The first thing, avoid overworking, take regular breaks. Even if you work past 8 hours, maybe you're giving 10 hours or 11 hours in a day, you still need to take regular breaks. You cannot work 11 hours straight. Okay. So you can set up reminders to take breaks. Be clear with your team. If I'm going for lunch, I'll text in the WhatsApp group for the team. All right. For the team that I'm in. I'm like, I'm going out for lunch. I'll not be available for the next hour. Please just drop messages for anything that you'll need me to work on when I get back. All right. Then I can turn off my notifications when I'm on a break. All right. So I'm not on a break and I'm just like, oh, I'm still responding to messages. I'm on a break. Please. I have a colleague who normally goes to the gym in the evening from 6 p.m. All right. And I already know because she communicates. All right. She says, from 6 p.m., I'm going to the gym. You can't find me from 6 p.m. to 7:30. She has communicated that. So even if you have anything, I'll communicate to this person at 6. They will respond maybe at 7:30. And that's okay. They told me in advance. All right. Then you need to schedule an activity. If you're taking evening walks, I've given you an example like my colleague who normally goes to the gym at the end of the day. Okay. Then be ready for a cultural shift. All right. So you need to trust your overall performance. You should be confident in your overall performance, and then rethink the concept of work. If this is how I've been doing things, can I look at doing this differently? Will it still work? All right. Understand your commitments and be patient. Rome was not built in a day. So you need to be patient in your productivity. All right. Take it a step at a time. All right. Exercise regularly. All right. Exercise actually helps to decompress your mind. If you don't like going to the gym, you don't like skipping your rope, you can do walks. You can do evening walks. All right. If you can talk to someone, all right, maybe you're stressed about something, find someone to talk to. It's very important to talk to someone. So view your mental health as seriously as your physical health, all right? And always check in with your manager. You're always texting your manager, even if they're remote. Do you need me to do anything? So this is what I've done. Do you think I should have done better? What do you think about this? All right? Always check in with them. Do you need me to take up any other tasks? This is what I'm doing right now, okay? So I'm not able to take in other tasks. Check in with your manager or team regularly. Separate your professional and personal life. You need to have a work-life balance, all right? And then organize in-person social meetups, even if it's not with your colleagues. Organize meetups with your friends. If it's maybe you're having coffee in the evening or over the weekend, organize in-person social meetups. It helps talk about anything else, even if it's the weather. Talk about anything else besides work. Do you understand? So that's it for today. Thank you so much, Judith, for the attendance form. So please, everyone, make sure you fill in the attendance form. I said this is the last class, but it does not mean that we are done sharing the certificates. The certificates are still being shared so long as you fill the attendance form. I know Titilope has been in almost all the classes, all right? She's been there. Marybeth has been there. So long as you fill in the attendance form, you will receive all your certificates. That's what I can guarantee you, okay? Marybeth says, I love taking walks, especially in nature. I love exercising. So for me, it's exercise works for me, okay? And then what if it's you, you're the only one in the department, TG communication and media manager? It feels lonely a lot. Of course, it feels lonely a lot. You can always interact with your other colleagues in the operations, okay? Just try and, make a few work friends, but also have friends outside work because you need a social life outside work, all right? Thank you so much, Titi Lope. So thank you all. Remember to sign up for the Hustle Academy. We have the first Hustle Academy next week. If you did not sign up, you're missing out. It's going to be it's very interesting. I love the Hustle Academy. So make sure, but it's not, as much as we're having the first one next week, it's not the last one. It's a rolling boot camp. So make sure you sign up. The link will be posted by Judith. And then, wow, Mary Beth got into the Hustle Academy. That's really nice. I'm so happy for you. Who else got into the Hustle Academy? Who else got into the Hustle Academy? This is very interesting. I love this. Mary Beth. This is so nice. I'm so happy for you. I'll meet you in the Hustle, and I can tell you for sure, you will talk about your experience to other people. The Hustle Academy is a very interesting boot camp. All right. So make sure everyone you sign up for the Hustle Academy. And then if you want to self-learn on your own, please go to learndigital.withgoogle.com / digital skills / courses. All right. So Judith, please share the Hustle Academy link. Judith, please share the Hustle Academy link and the link to self-learn on your own. You can follow us on our social media, Digital Skills for Africa or Impact Her. So thank you so much. That's it for today. Adios. Adios. Judith, thank you. Please share the link to self-learn. Please share the link to self-learn on your own. Learndigital.withgoogle.com / digital skills / courses. Thank you all and enjoy your evening. and enjoy your weekend. Bye, Mary Beth. Bye, Titilope. Bye, Dare Ademola, Rita, Edzoe, Obada. Who else? Azolukwam. Who else am I missing? Vlita. I'm calling all your names. Badmas and Sonia, Scholastic, Eunice, and yeah, I've called all your names for everyone who is in the chat section. So thank you so much. Bye and enjoy your evening and enjoy your weekend.